security at the beginning, it seems, would be the best way to at least ensure a optimal roll for this thing. Look, it's a ball you're rolling or something. I'd like it to roll optimally. And that's just kind of how I feel about it. But we'll see.
Now, there are certain pockets. If we're just talking about a place to source AnCap or market anarchists, people that understand the philosophy, I seem to run across people all the time when one of the first things after you find out they believe in market anarchism, they say, "Where, you got work." I think at the conferences and the other places that we're attending, or maybe just these online conferences, as they build up, we'll find more and more people that get liberty and that already have that background basis, that cultural corporate culture, I guess, that matches up with what you're interested in. Now, there's some other people in the chat room saying that they also like the idea of job boards, and also people that are saying not just jobs but projects in general. And I see, Gil, you like that idea of a project space. Let me show what Jeff helped set up for me. Jeff's in the chat room, I think, on Ad6.
Oh, look, somebody's recommending hacker spaces. I don't even know what that is.
Oh, I'm hoping to set up a hacker space in Meat Space. The project that's at the top of my queue now for new businesses is a coffee shop south of Richmond. We're still doing building on it. I was hoping to be able to use that. But basically, a hack space is a place where people can get together physically and just spend some time working hard on the project together. Sometimes in open source projects, if, say, people want to have a new installed or develop new applications, then they'll go in and spend the day working together, comparing all their notes in real time so that they can get a job done quickly.
Something I wanted to ask, I realize this is a setup question, is what are you listening to? Are you listening to the Skype, or are you listening to the thing on Agra.io?
I'm listening to the Skype, and I just got a request to turn it up.
Okay, yeah, I'm listening to the Skype. Gil, what are you listening to?
Yes, I'm listening to the Skype, because there's a delay to the Justin TV, so...
Yeah, Justin TV...
And I got the Justin TV muted, so...
Oh, good. All right, so now everybody's kind of on the same level, because before I couldn't really hear what everything sounded like, but okay, everything's good.
Okay.
Hacker spaces rule. Well, hacker spaces, I guess, if I understand the situation that you guys are talking about, it's really geographic concentration of anarchists that are working on projects, which is in some ways the Free State Project idea. But generally, it's also one of the advantages of an ideological anarchist business at all. Because if you set up an anarchist business that requires anarchists to work there, you're going to necessarily have a number of people working together all day long, every day.
And I think with a hackerspace, it usually also implies that it's temporary, focused on a short amount of time. So it might be like a side track at a conference or something. We might say, I don't know, since you and I have been to Mises Austrian Scholars Conferences, we might say anybody going there show up a day early and let's all sit together and brainstorm a project.
That's not a bad idea to do, to have, and there are a lot of places that do this. For instance, the Society for the Development of Austrian Economics is its own conference within the conference, the Southern Economic Association Conference. And whether it's before or after the ASC, or even in parallel in some track, something that's focused specifically on entrepreneurial projects would be great. One of the things that I have a challenge with when I do these conference presentations is, I work really, really hard, and I create a lot of content, and I learn a lot, and it's very hard to share in 10 minutes the richness of the concepts that are evolving, and get good feedback from people who are interested in continuing to evolve them. And then the other thing is that the location of the Mises Institute, it is the libertarian mecca, but it's really hard to get to. You got to fly into Atlanta, and then you got to drive, or then you got to take a bus. And if we had it in a major city like Chicago or Houston or New York or LA, then you would have more people able to quickly attend and get out. That's just something I had.
Okay.
Anarchist secret handshake.
I've got this aversion to cities, so one thing I kind of liked about Alabama is that I could get in the car and drive for 10 hours and be there, and skirt around the Atlanta and other big places where predators are looking to snatch people off the road. But that's sort of part of George's inspiration for Agora.io, is to avoid the whole issues of travel. Basically, that travel's gotten more expensive, maybe not in dollar terms, but in personal dignity terms. And so let's try to figure out ways that we can get together without that additional cost. So I don't know if we're talking about ideas, rather than building machinery, then there might be ways we can get online collaboration to work for us, but like we're seeing with this session, sometimes the technology gets in the way. It can be an interruption and a barrier to communicating. I think probably we need to go back and forth with different techniques at different times. Sometimes I like to work at 2 in the morning and put my ideas down when I know I'm not going to get interrupted, and get something ready, and then let everybody else look at it the next day.
Another thing that I was thinking about was some of the current projects I have. So one of them is the mediation casebook project, and this one in particular, I'm working with several mediation victim offender reconciliation programs and mediation programs that we're putting together a protocol to report in settled mediations in a standard format, and then develop from that a casebook. But it's a website that I'm developing right now, and it all gets reported in through Google Form, and then gets edited and then ported over to a different database. And I think my long-term intention is to turn that into a business all by itself, which is if you're an arbitrator in a victim offender mediation, what you want to do is, let's say you're arbitrating a battery where someone beat somebody else up, And your question is, well, what's a proper restitution for that? Well, if you have a bunch of mediated cases where battery victims and offenders have worked this out many times and agreed, then you have a point of reference to make a proper arbitral decision. And there's an analog to this in the legal sphere where there are settlement websites that you can subscribe to and read and view settlements that you can then use as an arbitrator or even as a litigant. So that's my idea for that mediation casebook website, but I'm not really a web guy. I'm just trying to get it done. So,
well, let me show off the wiki. This one I've put up under beta.ancapentrepreneur.net. Let me just put that in the chat window here in case you want to go to it. This is a fork from MediaWiki that's used to run Wikipedia. It seems to be infinitely configurable. Let me switch my blocks off. I know it's just Google Analytics. So I think I've got most of it running, but in a tiny window. But it's a wiki, so it takes very little coding or other information to go in and change things.
Yeah, I was talking about some folks about implementing some media wikis and stuff, and this is one of the criticisms I have of MediaWiki. And this is kind of funny because it's kind of in the overall, we're here at this Agora conference, right? But we're in the AnCap Entrepreneur channel, which is a little bit more rigid, right? And then I'm a little bit even more rigid than that, which is I don't really want to do all my work in an open wiki because there are privacy issues. There are things that, you want to communicate something to somebody but not to this other person. There are ideas that you want to work on in a kind of secure area before it's ready to show to others. And so I've talked to people about implementing media wikis, and it just doesn't have a lot of security features where you can carve off a piece to be accessible only by a certain group of people for a while, and then later change those wiki pages into publicly accessible wiki pages. Anyway, it's kind of along the same lines of the discussions about project workspaces, which I guess is what I'm more interested in, is secure project workspaces where you can be free with the information. You can maybe deal with information that is sensitive, and then once you're done, you can populate more public pages where a broader community can interact and can help.
Okay.
That's my $1.20.
Okay, and there's different ways we can address it. The software, of course, can claim to be secure, but whether that actually means it's secure is a whole separate issue. If we want real security, then I think that probably direct PGP heavy-duty cryptography is probably the best way to go. One of the things that I've noticed is that of the different businesses I imagine that we need to help encourage a free society, IT seems to be pretty well developed, maybe with media behind that, with the different alternative media that's available. I think there could probably be a lot of people that just advertise to us internally about, hey, I'll set you up with email encryption, and then you can at least communicate with everybody in your address book securely. From there, you can just go on. You can do encryption of voice over IP. don't know how secure Skype is from that point of view. I remember reading that the NSA put a bounty out for somebody that could break the Skype encryption, and